What's up everybody, Coach Mills here, and in this new Halo Infinite video, we gotta talk about the war that is going on right now in the Halo Infinite community. While the Halo beta launched to a pretty good start, there have been so many things that have just absolutely been destroying Halo from the inside out, whether it's cosmetics, playlists, hackers not being addressed, and it's basically just been bubbling up more and more to the point where Halo is losing players. It's actually bleeding players right now, and if they don't fix this very, very soon, Halo is going to be much worse off and people are going to leave Halo Infinite to go play things like the Master Chief Collection, or maybe not even play Halo at all. And Brian Jared, which is the community director at 343, also known as Sketch, he actually had a really big rant about the entire situation, and it freaking blew up on Reddit, so much so that it got to the top of r/all, so it's just freaking crazy. And let's read everything he has to say, and we're gonna talk about it as he goes. Now, he says, quote, "First, I'm going to stress again that I 100% understand and generally agree with the frustrations that most are expressing, even if I don't agree with the attacks and the ways in which some choose to express their feelings. Call me a shill, a liar, corporate speak, etc. as you want, but I never lied to this community and never will." And I'm not saying myself and 343 are a victim in any way, yet that's a narrative some folks here have chosen to apply. It's my job to come in here, listen, frankly, take it on the chin, and despite personally being very put off by the way in which many are expressing themselves, still ensure that we are advocating for players internally. We do that regardless of it being positive or negative, and always will. As for Slayer itself, we still are having discussions around feasibility. Yes, this is absolutely a hot topic and something the team is aware of. We would love to have modes and experiences that meet player expectations versus the backlash situation we're in today. I don't believe anyone at 343 thought not having Slayer was a good idea. I don't personally agree with what we owe folks a detailed dissertation of what 343 has been doing the last 6 years, or whoever thought this was a good idea, etc. We have had people working their asses off for years to try to deliver the best Halo game they can amidst a very challenging circumstance, but I will try to at least provide some context for those who are interested. The launch playlists were set up as they were to take a measured approach. We have UI limitations with the game right now in the way and number of playlists that are exposed. We have complex and non-ideal progression and challenge systems intertwined in playlists and modes that are not necessarily trivial to decouple and change. Yes, the entire challenge progressive system needs a lot of work, something the team is acutely aware of and prioritizing. The team's plans for a Slayer playlist, I think, are more robust than what might suffice for an interim solution. I love the ideas and some of the variants they're working on. Those all require tuning and, most important, testing. Question and answers is a huge dependency and is a critical part of the development pipeline that has been running nonstop for months to launch this game. We are reevaluating what it would take to potentially just start with a vanilla Slayer playlist as a short-term addition until the more robust offering is ready. Yes, I really would think that that's a good idea. I think the main hurdle that needs to be addressed and may require more time than is feasible before the holiday break is the knock-on effects to challenges, and needed to also reassess quick play and what that becomes. Historically, a Slayer-only playlist and an objective-only playlist has always resulted in the objective playlist quickly becoming unhealthy, but maybe we inevitably have no choice but to go down that route until more robust systems are available. Note, I'm not a multiplayer or systems designer. Now, really quickly, before we move on from this, in my opinion, there has been a lot wrong with the launch of Halo, and many people would agree, especially the cosmetics and the simple lack of options in the cosmetic department from the Battle Pass progression and the lack of playlists. And I think the best thing to do now is to push through, amendments to people's problems, right? As quickly as possible. And yeah, maybe that doesn't line up perfectly with challenges. Maybe there's some other problems that arise, but be on the side of being more generous, give people vanilla Slayer, give people really easy challenges or free XP or whatever you have to do, and then fix the problems on the back end while people get to actually play the game they want to play. That's just my personal take, but I want to hear your opinion about that down below. Now, I'm going back to reading what he has to say, quote, "It's not just quite as trivial as pushing a button, and at the scale and complexity of the game, any and every change could have monumental impact in a negative way without extensive testing. Triaging these feedback issues and finding what can we do now is what the team is already doing and will continue to do. Everything has to be tested, everything has downstream dependencies and knock-on effects, and we're 4 days from a global launch with the holidays right after." Now, I'm actually really glad they said that. That really relates back to what I just talked about. What can they do right now? Like, the game is bleeding. There are problems. They need to be freaking amended to, like, right away. You can't just put this shit off, and the campaign is not going to be enough. You can give people the campaign, but if you just vanish, you know, for all of the rest of December and even the start of January, like, at the end of the day, I understand you want to give your team a break and you want them to be, you know, home for the holidays or whatever the case may be, but your game is launching at the start of December. How do you not plan for something like this? If you're going to have to take a huge break for the holidays, then put your game or release it in January or February or any other day where it doesn't conflict, because if you release your game with all these freaking problems and people complain about it to the point of blowing up everywhere and everyone's pissed off, of course, they're going to want answers right away and they're not going to want to wait 4 weeks. Like, I think that's pretty obvious to understand, and I know that they've been getting a ton of hate, and I'm not trying to pile onto that hate, but I'm really trying to speak for my audience and just people that are really upset with everything going on. It just makes sense from a logical point of view, and I think that they should understand that as well. And a lot of people are getting tired of the idea that you gotta take like fucking, I don't know how many days off for the holidays when your game is being like, it needs things addressed right now. Fix those things and take as many days off as you need after the fact. Now, going back into what he says, quote, as far as the notion of this all being a ploy to force challenge swaps, it just isn't. I don't expect everyone to believe that, but while we may not agree with the playlist selections and approach, I'm just going to say again, making players have no control and have to use swaps has never once been a thing I've heard. Ever. And again, we know this entire challenge system is not ideal, and while I'm glad that they have been able to make some interim tweaks and to progress the pace and remove some of the more frustrating RNG challenges, there's absolutely more work to be done, and this is not the ideal version the live team has in mind. Though more challenge tweaks are coming soon with the playlist update, details to come soon, I did not really enjoy having to grind through 20 plus games quick play to hopefully get oddballs so that I could hopefully win 3 games to complete a challenge. Or Shudder, having to get 10 Ravager kills. Is this week's ultimate reward of just an emblem really worth the grind? There's a lot of work to do. We are in agreement there. A few more changes are coming this month, and I hope we can start to lay out more robust plans after the break. Now, I do appreciate this, honestly. It really shows that they understand the problems and the frustrations. Like, he's talking from someone who has played the game and grinded through himself, not some corporate dictator, not some, you know, disconnected developer. He has played the game, he understands, and I'm guessing a lot of the problems with Halo are partially out of the hands of the developers, so I don't want anyone to give them tons of hate or anything like that, but it is important to hold them, the game, the team accountable, especially when it's Halo. Halo has the potential to be the biggest game that we have seen for many, many years, but all of these problems are making it really hard for the casual community to want to grind the game, and for everything to build on top of that, whether it's competitive, whether it's esports, none of that will exist if this isn't freaking fixed right away, and that's why it's so damn important. Now, going back to what he said, quote, not everyone likes that Infinite is a free-to-play game, and thus has a new business model based on monetization of customization. I understand where you're coming from, especially with a 20-year established franchise with a long-standing legacy. Free-to-play has been a huge boost to growing the player base, and we've seen a huge amount of new players entering the franchise for the first time ever. Yeah, okay, they're entering, but you gotta make sure they don't leave, okay? But this is a business. The servers you play on cost money to operate, okay? The studio that develops and maintains the game costs money. Battle Pass and premium customizations is the model for this game today. Is there room to continue assessing the overall economic value for players? Absolutely, and that's also an area the team is constantly monitoring and learning. The creation of cosmetics and the Battle Pass have absolutely nothing to do with something like a playlist. That content was created ages ago, is static, and wasn't done instead of playlist. Was it a priority to make sure that the game could in fact generate revenue? Of course. Now, hold on. I need to put a big timeout on this really quickly, because I think that there's several big things that it's just really important to understand about this. So, of course, the game needs to make money. Everyone knows that the game needs to make money, and that's pretty obvious, right? They have server costs, they have developers to pay, the list goes on, right? But when you're talking about Halo, which is the flagship game for Xbox, and now it's on PC as well, You're spawning a TV show off the Halo franchise that's going to be on Paramount Plus. You're trying to bring in tons and tons of new players into an existing legacy game with 20 years, like you said, of an established franchise. I would think that money would actually be something that is secondary. You could literally operate Halo at a loss, make freaking Halo like the best game ever, get so many people into it, push the franchise forward, make Game Pass, Xbox Game Pass like a must buy, and eventually Halo would make money down the line. But even if we take away all of that, right? Even if I say, okay, they do want to make a profit on the game, there's no reason that you need to monetize these default colors, these really basic items. And that's pretty obvious. You don't need to do that. You could still make money. And if you think that they're not going to be making money if they didn't sell like a default white skin for $10, they would still be making money as long as they had creative freaking skin designs. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit of a secret. You know what's really not going to get you to make any money? If everyone leaves the game, or a giant amount of people, especially your casual audience who want to buy skins more than anything else. They care about skins far more than any other demographic. The casual audience that want to play the game and play the game modes they want to play and want to buy the skins they want to buy, they are the people that you are going to lose if you don't nail all this stuff, okay? It's pretty simple stuff, and that's the truth. So you could have planned all around generating revenue, but if you don't nail this, you're not going to generate any fucking revenue. Going back to what he said, quote, "I'm starting to ramble here, but the main TLDR is, for what it's worth, we're going to do what we can as soon as we can. If things today do not meet your expectations, then I'm sorry you've been disappointed. I'm confident this game will continue to get better and better, and all of these issues are fixable. I also realize that some players are just not going to play anymore. Maybe they come back, maybe they don't. I also know and want to bring up very front and honest that the pace at which bigger changes are brought to bear will absolutely not be as fast as many want. We have some problems for sure, but I'm really proud of the foundation the team was able to deliver. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. It's her prerogative to play or not play. I'd rather have people who are so passionate they're yelling at us than no one caring at all. But I just ask that people please take a breath here. Understand there are human beings behind this who put years of their life into just trying to make the best experiences they can. And do not rush to judge or assume that you got it all figured out. And with that, I fully expect to be blasted from here out, but hopefully for some, this post helps provide a bit more context. Have a great weekend, everyone. Now, before I talk further, I want to make it incredibly clear that no one should be attacking any single person on the development team. I mean, this guy actually comes out and talks to us transparently, which is something that I openly love and agree with, and this is like the best we've gotten. Full transparency, his honest opinions. He's telling us that things aren't going to meet our expectations, but he's being honest about it, and he's not trying to sugarcoat it, right? So that's commendable, and please, please, put down your damn pitchforks, because that's not going to help anything. But if I'm going to be honest, and this is probably going to be a take that is going to get me blacklisted from talking to any developers, 343 is not going to like me, and this could, you know, come back to bite me where I don't have the same connections, I don't get the interviews, and, you know, maybe never get invited to anything involving Halo, and that's going to suck because I really love Halo. I've loved it my entire life, and I plan to devote the next 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever years of my life covering Halo content. But I have to be honest, I have to be transparent to you, so if you don't like the direction that the game is going, you don't like the monetization policy, you don't like the lack of anti-cheat, you don't like any of the big issues with playlist, and the list goes on with Halo currently, you should not spend a single dime on Halo. Not a drop, not a smidgen. That's just the absolute truth. Every single dollar they bring in from their current skin model, and they just bring in to, you know, fund their servers and pay for the game to be profitable. That basically is validation that the thing is going well and things are going smooth. There's no cause to urgency at all. And, you know, here's the thing. Honestly, you have to speak to the profit owners, right? The people that care, the business owners of 343, the people that care that the game is not making money. And effectively, they need to understand that the best interest of us, all the things that we want, is also in the best interest of Halo. If they want us to spend our money, then they need to fix all these things. And if they do, if the game is running good and all these problems are fixed, then the money will be flowing not just now, but for years and years down the line. But until then, if no one's gonna listen, if people aren't gonna help these developers out from higher up the chain, if nothing's gonna get done on, you know, a time frame that you like, if you're just pouring money into the game still, you're just contributing to the problem and perpetuating the status quo. So yeah, that's my really hot take, and you know, I'm gonna accept whatever comes with it, but I have to be honest. I hope you enjoyed the video. Definitely let me know if you agree or disagree with anything I said down below. What do you think of these posts? What do you think of Halo as a whole? Yeah, I love your faces. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow.